silver hand because it's all just knitting needles on her fingers now.
Yeah, she's got thimbles grafted onto her fingertips so like she never has to really take them off. I really like biohacker grandma. That kind of works for me. Hey, welcome to Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimists video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
And my name is David.
I'm centered, man. I'm here just like my head is on so straight right now.
Nice.
I went to a like volunteer thing at Folsom Prison over the weekend.
Yeah.
Which may sound like not the best place to get your head on straight, but it sure did for me.
Yeah.
In an almost impossible to explain via an audio medium.
Yes.
You know, did some cool stuff. It's like kind of a form of group therapy, you know? It was great. If anybody's interested, there's a very helpful documentary called The Work, which explains what the hell goes on there.
Where can we watch that?
I saw it on Apple TV recently.
Apple TV.
You can like rent it for like $4. I think it's on like YouTube. You can also rent it on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your father is in it. Is that correct?
My dad's in it. He's the big bearded man.
He's on the cover, isn't he?
I think so.
He's on, well, not like the main focus, but he's part of the cover.
Yeah, he's there. He's present. It's very good. And, but yeah, as a consequence, I'm so here and present and like so into video games still.
You figured out that you love video games even more at this event, right?
The deep truth that I found was like fucking gaming rocks. Whoa. That's cool.
That's at your core, in the very center of your soul. That's what your body is saying. Gaming rocks. Whoa.
I visualized myself like transcending space and time and then found like a switch at the end of space and time.
Wow, you found a switch. Out of any console, you chose the Switch.
I think so, at least right now.
Dang.
It's just got so much shit on it. It's so useful. It's so nice.
You're a Switch boy.
I'm a little Switch boy, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, I'm letting the universe flow through me, I guess, and talk about video games.
Hell yeah.
What's up with you? What you been playing, David?
What I've been playing? I've been playing Little Kitty Big City.
Yeah, back at it again.
I beat it. It's a very short game.
Yeah, nice.
Very beatable. There's a lot of side content you can do, but I kind of just more enjoyed, I guess really what I should say is that in this game, because I am a cat owner, my biggest goal was to get this kitty back to his owner. Because that owner is probably freaking out that this cat is missing from their like 10-story window that it fell out of. Yeah. So I had to go and find all the fish, ate them up. It's very cute when the cat eats the fish.
Nice.
Still like so well animated, this cat, very lifelike. And so you get the fish and you climb up the ivy to back to your favorite sleeping spot. And then your owner sees you, gives you some head scratches, and then puts a collar on you, and the game lets you name the cat.
Ooh, wow.
A plus. Your reward for getting through this game and beating it is you get a collar and you get to name your kitty. And I've never typed Bruce faster in my life. So quickly. Just immediately Bruce. So yeah, A plus to Little Kitty Big City for really being the cat game for cat lovers and owners. Yeah, that was actually kind of a ridiculously special moment for me this year in gaming. It just felt so good because you do like make a connection with this cat because he's just so sweet and innocent in this world. He has like, since he's an indoor cat, being outside in the world gives him this feel very much of like the kid from the country coming into the city and like learning the ropes from all these people, but making it work not because, well, the world isn't really super dangerous. Definitely people will try to take advantage of you a little bit, but he's just so kind-hearted that he just gets through it with ease. So he's a very good kitty. Very good kitty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, this game was great. Really enjoyed it. Very cute. Great animation on the cat. Some of the platforming is pretty wonky. I will say that. It's not the most technically sound game at some points. There are some bugs, but you know, that's not what I'm playing this game for. I don't expect like precision platforming. I just expect a fun romp as a cat. And that is exactly what it gave me. So yeah, very fun game.
That rocks. That ending is weirdly subversive in a very cool way.
Yeah. How so?
Just that like every game that allows you to name someone, that's the first thing you do.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And so it's weird to put it at the very end, but kind of cool too.
I think it adds to it because
totally.
Definitely you are putting your own experiences with cats onto this cat that you're controlling.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's never clear like what gender it is. I calling this cat a he because I put my cat Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce's personality onto this cat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it very much lets you craft this character kind of in your mind in a way, right? There is some dialogue that the cat has, but it like you said, it is subversive. It is subversive in that way, but satisfying, more satisfying that I get to name him at the end.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
I've also still been playing Hades.
Sure, why not?
It's still really good.
Yeah.
I never got through the epilogue of this game.
Wow, nice.
Just love that years later I can go back and there's still a fun little side quest for me to do in this game. It's really impressive, the amount of content in here. And I do just want to shout out the Dusa story arc and how it becomes like a lesson in getting sucked into your work and having balance with your life. And like that's why Nyx was always writing her. It wasn't because she was mad at her because she was doing a bad job. It's because she's like, you are working here too much. You are too intense about this. You need to go and like chill and find balance.
Take a vacation. Yeah.
Take a vacation. That was such a nice way to subvert my expectations there. Because definitely they're setting it up like, oh, Nyx is just being mean for no reason other than she is an old chthonic god. And she can be. Yeah. But now it's like, oh no, Nyx was just caring in her way, you know?
Yeah.
So that was really good. I really enjoyed that. And I've also been playing, this is the one I've been playing the most, is Jedi Survivor.
Oh, that's the second one, right?
Yes. Yeah. Not Fallen Order, but Survivor.
Did you start playing this at any point or did you just start this?
I just started this. It came out last year, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those games that I always had the intention of playing, but because there was just so many other things in my backlog, it's just one of those ones that gets pushed to the next year.
2023 was a busy year too.
It was a busy year, but I'm really enjoying this one. I already think I enjoy it more than the first one. I think that the characterization and the growth in Cal is much more interesting in this game.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
I love the wayward Jedi trying to find his way again and becoming a Jedi Knight story as much as anyone, right? Great story, always feels good. But, you know, tried and true at this point is that story. It's didn't feel super original, even though the character of Cal was fun. Mm-hmm. But this, at least so far in the game that I have gotten so far, the characterization of him being this guy who seems to not be able to say no to helping and fighting this cause because of his own past trauma and how that is affecting him and his relationships and like his own future in many ways is much more compelling, and how the other characters in relation to him also grow because of that. Like, who was it? Grease, I think it is. Grease in the first one was kind of like the funny comic relief character.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
But in this one, he's very much more trying to be like the paternal father figure to Cal, at least in this opening bit that I've played so far. And I think that's a much more impactful way to use that character.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't bad as, you know, mostly just the comic relief, but in this one, it feels like, oh, okay, this person actually is doing something with his life and this characterization of himself now, and how he's caring for Cal in his way, but, you know, is just trying to be the person who is there for him no matter what, which is great that they changed that character that way. Yeah, just much more compelling that way. And then also, I'd like that they had so many new characters in the beginning of the game, and spoilers for Jedi Survivor.
The opening of that
game, the opening act, just killing them all off right then and there. Yeah. Sets the stakes for sure. But does that, but then if you remember from the first one, the ninth sister, you do get a little bit of, you know, not a very Jedi thing to do, but revenge in that portion of the game. But once again, I think I'm interested to see where the survivor aspect of this goes, because you know, he's pretty much the sole survivor of that interaction. He's the sole survivor of Order 66 or 66 or whatever it is. And so it feels like they're cooking up that they're going to be saying something a little bit more in this game than they did in the first one, which I'm excited for narratively.
I had ended up finishing this one, and I think it does more than the first one, right? I think the first one is just like like you said, the kind of tried and true Jedi needs to believe in himself kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I always prefer in Star Wars media when it is about someone who knows the role that they need to be playing, but is somehow resisting that in some way, or like, you know, isn't allowed to be this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that I like KOTOR 2 a lot, in that it was like grappling with, like, are the Jedi even that good? You know, like, are they maybe just like way too tied to their ideology in a way that is not serving them? Because I think like even the prequels kind of approach that a little bit with like some of the Jedi Council being kind of hard-headed and like eventually sort of resulting in why Anakin does the shit that he does. But I don't know if they ever really like say like that's the reason. Yeah. You know, because like most of those people on the council are still like very much like good guys. And I think the movie wants you to like them and think that they're like just, but like maybe they just made a bad decision. But I much prefer the view of the Jedi as like way too tied to the shit that they believe in at the cost of like even their own well-being. Yeah. Like maybe if they weren't so attached to like some belief that they have, they could do even more good, you know? And KOTOR 2 definitely comments on that, and like a lot early on in the game. Yeah. And I like that, like you're saying, the intro of this game sets the stakes for that stuff so early and quickly of like, he's on this mission, shit breaks bad. And there's that scene where he's like, Cal is like, he just saw everybody get like murked, and then he's like running towards the fight essentially. And like a couple of people like, no, dude, you need to help us. Like, don't do that right now. And he like, it seems like he's going to choose revenge for a second, and then gets kind of like jostled out of it by some platform being fucked up or something. And so he doesn't actually get to choose. He got
blasted off the platform.
Yeah. And so the choice is kind of removed from him, but you saw him thinking like, maybe I should just go like fuck these people up. Yeah. Or even when he fights the ninth sister or whatever, and like gets her pretty good, you know? Yeah. It's a different guy than who was in the one before. And I think you can see him being led by the kind of like, you know, he was pretty not happy at the end of the first one, but like satisfied. And it's clear that in the time between those two games, he has like not won as much as he wanted to. No. Like this fight is not going great. No, it's not. And it's interesting because they are showing him as someone not necessarily who has grown emotionally, but someone who has gotten used to being effective through despite his emotions and the trauma that he's experiencing. Right. You know, he is in the first one, he's very much more, at least as far as what I've seen in the game so far, in tune with what he is feeling and really like feeling it still. Yeah. In this one, you know, some of his comrades get killed. He gets thrown off the platform and he goes, I'll have time to mourn later. I gotta go and like save whoever else is there, right? He's gotten good at battling through things, but it doesn't seem like he's processing or maturing from these experiences or allowing himself to do that. Yeah. And I think that's very intentional. And I think that's why I really love that Grease scene, because it's really showing like, no, you can't do this. This is not a sustainable path for you. You're kind of too important to take this route. We need you to think about this. But he just essentially just powers through that conversation and brushes him off to keep on doing his Jedi stuff. And it is, like you were saying, interesting in how that it is grappling with the idea of, you know, when are your morals something that need to be re-examined in a way, right? Yeah. Because when you are absolute good faced against absolute evil, and you're in a war that is completely, you are completely losing, and they say that like multiple times. It's completely one-sided. What is the point of what is the benefit to you at a certain point? And what good are you doing for the world in spite of your own well-being in that instance, right? Yeah. Like, is every one of these beliefs that I have helping this or not? Yeah. Is it helping anyone else? Is it helping me? Definitely not really helping me right now, and doesn't really seem to be helping other people. So what's the point? And and he's like stuck in this kind of like rigid interpretation of shit. He's absolutely stuck. That's the feeling I get from him. That's the feeling that
I think he has as well in this game so far. Yeah, really interested to see where this one goes. Already such a much more compelling narrative. I think that they also redesigned the levels to be a lot more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
They opened them up a lot more. So instead of being just a like legacy dungeon type of feel, like in a Dark Souls game where there's really one pathway and then maybe like a couple small branches off here and there where you can go and explore, it really gives you a much wider area, at least so far on Cabo where I am, of a lot of very deep little dungeons, more like almost like a mini Skyrim-ish feel as opposed to Dark Souls. Also, they come out pretty damn hard and fast with that first side mission being the boss being a Rancor. That was that was wild. So also setting the stage for what they expect for you as the gamer skill-wise, right?
Yes, yeah. I think both of these games did a good job of providing one single optional boss really early in the game that you can be like, holy hell, this is a lot.
Yeah. Like, should I be fighting this boss right now? Do I need to level up a little bit more? But no, had to take down the Rancor, had to do it.
Had to do it to him.
But yeah, I'm a lot more excited to play this one than the first one. The first one was fun. It was a romp. This one, the narrative seems much more interesting, and I'm excited to see and hopeful that they kind of stick the landing with it.
I think that it's like the first one was very focused on like providing a very satisfying like mechanical experience, and they did that really well because I don't know that a lot of other Star Wars games in just like the you are a Jedi genre have felt as good as that one did.
Yes.
Like the first area where you get that lightsaber and it like shows you how to like parry blasts back at the stormtroopers. I'm like, this is good shit. This is a very good video game.
Yeah. Yeah. It always feels good to parry back a blaster bolt and kill like a mob enemy, essentially like a random stormtrooper.
Yeah. I think it was also just like such a response to Dark Souls. The fact that like, what is a Star Wars game that is very good look like in a world after Dark Souls, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that was just like such a splashy thing to do that even though the story was like a little bit more paint by numbers, I was still just like, wow, that was great. That was really good. Whereas I think they probably rightfully saw that in the sort of like space of games right now, there are a lot of games that have taken the Dark Souls feel and have ran with it.
Yeah.
And so like, what are we providing that is interesting? And I think their answer is there is more narrative here.
There's more narrative. Yeah.
And like, I think most of it works. And so I'm totally cool with what they're doing. And definitely seems like they're like, this is part 2 of a trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that what is most compelling to me in this game isn't necessarily the story itself. Sometimes it can get very not corny, but campy in a way.
Yes, yeah.
That is very Star Wars. Like when he's in the town on Cabo and walks up to the raider leader and he's like holding his belt buckle, walking up to him. Like, okay, this is a little over the top.
Yeah.
And how Bo Dakuna is like the guiltiest MFer I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Yeah. That one is, I don't know if that's intended to be a secret, but man, I would be so surprised if he was not a traitor. Just based off of that first level. Sorry if that's also spoilers, but I haven't experienced it either, but context clues, you know?
Who knows?
Chase won't say.
Who knows what the truth is, David?
Who knows what the truth is?
Do you want confirmation or not?
No. I mean, I feel pretty confident. He had talked about his daughter. That's a weak point. That's a weak point, man. It's going to give him motivation for why he's doing it. The Empire has the kid, and now he has to sell out his buddies. But we'll see. That's my hot take. We'll see what happens. I'll report back if I'm right about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Chase giving nothing away. What a poker face.
I don't want to give it away. You said you didn't want to know.
I know. I'm just impressed by your poker face.
I'm locked in, baby.
It wasn't even your poker face. It was your poker tone.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Be read many different ways.
I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah. So really enjoying this one.
Yeah.
It's good. Good game.
It's a good video game.
Yeah. Chase, what have you been playing?
I got 2 things for you, David. I was, like I said, the prison thing was from like, I flew down to Sacramento on Wednesday and then was like fully there Friday through Sunday and then a little bit Thursday night, just, prepping and stuff.
Yeah.
So a fairly light video game week, but I got 2 things that I've been checking out recently.
Oh, nice.
One of them is Super Mario Sunburn, David.
Sunburn? What is this?
Super Mario Sunburn is a mod of Super Mario Sunshine.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it is I would say fairly like light mod as far as like, ROM hacks go, if you want to call it that. But it's something that I think makes the game pretty significantly different. So the main difference that this game has modded is that you can go into any of the Super Mario Sunshine levels. Like, for all intents and purposes, the game is intact. But when you go into one of the levels, rather than being on one specific mission, you can do a bunch of different missions. So like if you go on that first one, right, the like very first mission where you go and it's like the little spiral up to fight PD Piranha or whatever.
Yeah.
You could do that, or you could go collect the like 8 red coins or whatever, and you can get a shine sprite from that. It's all sort of like enabled in the same level.
Okay.
And then when you get it, it doesn't boot you back out to the main thing.
So it's just making it more kind of like Mario Odyssey.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It is much more of a consistent and like, I don't know if immersive is the right word, but it's not this thing where you're just constantly going in and out of levels all the time.
Yeah.
Which weirdly has a pretty dramatic effect on the video game. Sure. It feels very different than the kind of like Mario 64 structure where it's like you do 1 star and then you go out, and then you do another star and you go out. It is, you collect 8 red coins, you get the shine sprite. Great. Okay, cool. Now you can go do another thing. And there's like a few instances where like you do have to reset the level so that like you can do the thing that you want to do, because some of them change the level pretty dramatically. But for most of the other stuff, it's like really satisfying to just kind of be able to be in this arena and go like wander around to your heart's content. Because at least for me, I think that there's definitely a criticism to levy against Super Mario Sunshine that it is kind of, the levels are really big. And oftentimes I'm like, what am I even doing here?
Sure.
And like usually it has a point, like you're supposed to do one thing, but it feels so gigantic that sometimes I'm a little overwhelmed with everything that's going on in here. Whereas when, the red coins are enabled, the kind of like stars that are just up high that you have to get to some random time.
Yeah.
The fact that those are all in there all the time really helps me to be like, okay, I know what the thing the main mission told me to do was, but also why don't I just go over here and collect this? And so it's much more like Odyssey in that way, where you can do a bunch of shit. You don't have to do like just one thing.
Yeah.
Which really helps. I really like that approach.
Gives you much more choice.
Yeah, a lot of choice, and like I said, it just makes these big levels feel a little bit more filled in. But it just mercifully too, one of the other nice things is that whenever you got a blue coin in the main Super Mario Sunshine, it asked you, do you want to save? And then you do that, and it takes a second to load and yada, yada, yada. It totally skips it. It just, if you pick one up, it saves after that automatically, and you just continue onward. And autosave. It is a lot of, I think, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's not a dramatically different thing. I also saw that I haven't played this, but there's another ROM hack called Super Mario Eclipse, which is like a totally different rebuild of Super Mario Sunshine, like an entirely different game. And that one is like, we have changed everything. We're just using Super Mario Sunshine as like a base. Whereas this one's like, yeah, we're still going to keep it intact, but we're changing a couple of things around the edges to make it maybe a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
And like, I really appreciate that. I think if you're looking at like, remakes and remasters and shit like that, this is more in line with maybe kind of a remaster 1.1 update kind of thing.
Sure.
Where they've changed some of the stuff to the point where like it doesn't feel like it was made in 2005 or whatever it was for this one.
A lot of quality of life updates.
Exactly. Yes. Which is like, in playing all these games that you and I play all the time, the stuff that makes a game feel old to me is the quality of life stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to save, and now the last 3 hours are gone.
Yes, that kind of shit of like, how could you do this to me?
It's the worst.
Yeah.
It does feel personal, doesn't it? How could you do this to me, game?
Especially in 2024, if a game doesn't have autosave or just something that allows me to roll back to like 20 minutes ago, I'm like, oh, how have you done this?
It's just like, oh, I didn't know this game was from the Stone Age, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to get out my mortar and pestle to cook this meal for myself.
Exactly. It's the meta game within the game. When was the last time I saved?
And yeah, I talk to so many people who are like, watch other people play video games, and just like the mania that overcomes some people who have been burned one too many times of like, well, I should save right now. Like, even in games that have autosave, people are still just like slamming the save button.
Yeah. Whenever I save a document, I'm always doing it 3 or 4 times. Save.
Yeah.
One of them got in there.
So yeah, I'm like really enjoying this. I think it, like Super Mario Sunshine, I do like a fair bit. It's kind of divisive, I feel like, for people. Some people really like it and some people think it's like the worst one.
The worst?
I like among the 3D Mario games, right? Like the 3D kind of adventure Mario games. I don't really know where it lands for myself. 64 is obviously for me kind of goated, but I realize that that's like, you know, a little bit of nostalgia speaking.
It's a very millennial answer.
I think so, yeah. But like, you know, Odyssey's at the top. I think Galaxy 2 is at the top. 64 is probably up there. So like, you know, maybe Sunshine's at the lower end of it, but I still think it's pretty good. And like, oh man, does it just make me want a pina colada and like a tall, cold glass of water.
Ooh, a pina colada and a cold glass of water. That's a powerful combo.
You know, like something sweet, but also like got to keep my hydration up, you know?
Got to keep the hydration. Got to get the sugar out of your mouth. Don't want no cavities.
No. It just like sets the vacation vibe perfectly. The way that like some of the graphics like make it look like there's like heat in the air, like things are kind of wobbly in the way that like when it's really hot, you can see like the heat waves coming off the concrete and shit like that. It's just like, it's so good. All the water looks so pretty and pristine. Yeah. That like, I just love that vibe. I think it's really fun to exist in just like Mario vacation land. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a fan. Do you have feelings about Sunshine? Have we talked about this before? I never played it. I didn't have a GameCube. Yeah, that's right. GameCube is a blind spot for me. Yeah. It might be worth trying. I don't know if it would be good or not now. Because like some of it I do know how to play. The controls are a little weird, I will say. And like Flood weird? Flood is a little weird. It also almost demands that you play with a GameCube controller. Really? Because there's like pretty specific controls for if you hold down the trigger a little bit versus all the way. And like most triggers don't allow you that level of accuracy. Maybe you could get it, but it's like it would take so many settings in the emulation to get it right. Because like, and I'm sure the like remaster that was on Switch probably solved for this in some way, but the problem was that if you hold down the R trigger a little bit, you can still run as Mario and still be shooting water in front of you. Yeah. Whereas if you click it down all the way, it goes into kind of like not first person shooter, but like you're controlling just Flood at that point, which you need both of those. You definitely need to be able to do both. And so for the way that I'm playing on my Ain Odin Pro 2 is that I've just got both of those things set to different buttons. But I think that is partially me relying on my knowledge of how this game works. Gotcha. And so I think it would feel kind of weird if that wasn't the case. But even still, I think it's worth a try because it like if you like Odyssey and 64, like this one's definitely in line with those games. All right. And like it feels like vacation, you know? I do love vacation. Delfino Plaza rocks. Like I think like that location is really, really good. It is a classic location, I think, at this point, and the soundtrack slaps for sure. Really, really good. Yeah. For sure. It's bizarre that like, I mean, like not bizarre, but it's kind of a bummer again that, and I'll speak about this again in a second, but that Nintendo has become so guarded around introducing new kinds of characters in their games. Like you get a little bit in Odyssey. There's some freshies in there, but I'm thinking specifically about Paper Mario and the Origami King, that they're like, you can't make new weird guys. Because like there are we have weird guys already. There's no new weird guy. Pool's closed. No new guys, please. But like the denizens of Delfino Island are all very strange. Like they're very weird looking creatures. And they were not in Mario games before that. Yeah. So like let them cook. Just a bunch of beach bums. Yeah. They're like, I don't really know what they are, but yeah, very strange creatures. And they're very cute. I think that they're like fun. They nailed like, what does a tropical guy look like in this world? And like, he's got a little tree growing out of his head. That's great. I like that. That is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So yeah, Super Mario Sunburn is the name of that mod. Great. I don't know how they did it. Somebody must have had a pretty good Mario voice, because the intro is definitely someone saying Super Mario Sunburn. Wow. And it's like, it sounds like it's Mario himself. So it's they did a great job. Just AI. It's probably AI, unfortunately. Next Mario movie, it's not going to be Chris Pratt. It's going to be AI Chris Pratt. Do you think, if you thought the internet hated Chris Pratt for that role already, He's somehow gotten worse. Somehow Chris Pratt has gotten worse.
Somehow Chris Pratt returned.
Anyway, so it's fun. Give it a look if you're interested. The other game that I am playing is Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door, the remake that came out just recently.
Nice. And this was a remake of the one on the Gamecube, is that right?
This is a remake of the one on the Gamecube.
It's all Gamecube today.
It is all GameCube today. I can just feel the impending into the Aether episode about the GameCube that's coming out at the kind of the middle of summer here. My spirit has been moving me towards GameCube games.
Get cubed, baby. Get
totally cubed.
Take me to the fourth power.
I had played this game last year with Emily Alice. We were kind of on like a Paper Mario kick. She played the Origami King and was like kind of really into it and beat the game. And then we played through 64 and then Thousand Year Door as well. Mm-hmm. I had played a little bit of Thousand Year Door prior, but not nearly as much as we did. We like got through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a good experience. It was such a good game, even like just playing the base version. Mm-hmm. The Thousand Year Door is widely regarded as kind of like the Paper Mario game, like the really, really good one. And I'm always a little hesitant of people kind of like pushing together for the same opinion about a video game on the internet.
Yeah.
Just because I'm always like, I don't know if that's really it for me. But for better or worse, I think that they're incredibly right about that. Like the internet is mostly right that like this is the Paper Mario game. Mm-hmm. It is both mechanically just a joy and like still tied to more quote unquote like traditional RPG shit, right? Like,
yeah.
I think Sticker Star and Super Mario, what was it? Super Paper Mario, the one on the Wii, and then Origami King, they all kind of tried to like swerve in a certain way. And, you know, to varying successes and failures. I think the Origami King, a lot of the complaints about that game were about the mechanics. And I think that there's an interesting idea in that game, but like it's kind of bizarre to put it in a Paper Mario game.
Sure. What did they do?
It was a very like positional puzzle almost a lot of the time with how to do combat. And it simply wasn't the same combat style that these games are, 64 and Thousand Year Door, or even like the Superstar Saga, the ones on Game Boy.
Yeah.
It's even farther away from that, right? Like it just takes a lot of it and it totally changes how the game works. Mm-hmm. And so like I like that they were experimenting there, but I do think that the mechanics of these games, I think that they kind of nailed pretty early in a way that like feels good, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, both of us really loved it, myself included, and I was kind of interested in like what do they do with the remake here? And the things that they have changed. The visuals look amazing. It looks totally incredible. And in the same way that the HD version of Wind Waker, when you and I played it, we kept being like, this looks like a diorama almost. Mm-hmm. Like these are like characters that are animated in my TV or something. It's kind of a similar thing with Thousand Year Door. It just looks so good. All of it's really crisp, and it like there was some scuffle on the internet about it being 30 frames per second, but I'm like, it looks good, man. It looks good.
Just a little scuffle.
Yeah. I understand that like it's relatively not a super demanding game from like, you know, we're not rendering every pore of Ellie or Joel on screen here.
Yeah.
It's, you know, fairly basic models, but you know, I didn't build the game. I don't know how simple or complicated it is. Mm-hmm. And so I understand the temptation to be like, why isn't this running better? But I just don't really notice it that much in this game. I think it still looks incredible.
Yeah.
And so just visually, it's been, you know, very updated. I think that there is some quality of life stuff here and there of, you know, it's easy to switch between your party members pretty quickly. There's like a couple of mechanical things that I can feel play a little bit differently, but nothing super dramatic. It is like largely still the same game. It's just that like you can play it on your Switch now rather than having to buy like a GameCube and then like $120 copy of this game from the GameCube era.
$120?
It's really expensive usually. It's a very expensive game to buy physically. And so just for the fact that they have put that out, I'm like, okay, thank God. Like it still exists. So, you know, where is this game in 2024? I think that like it was just so good already that it still feels amazing.
Yeah.
Like it is a supremely playable video game, which kind of means nothing, but in the way that like you and I have talked about this before, that like Kendrick Lamar's Damn was not his most forward thinking and like experimental album like To Pimp a Butterfly was. Sure. But like I put it on a lot.
Sure did.
And like I played the hell out of it because like it had some just amazing tracks on there. Mm-hmm. And like I think that's underselling how good of a game this is, comparing it to like one of Kendrick's like less well-loved albums. But just in the same way that that album is listenable, this one is playable of like, I have a hard time stopping. I'm just like having such a good time while I'm playing it. Of, you know, it's buttery smooth to fight and to run around and to explore. It's also very funny a lot of the time. Like it's got the kind of like silly Paper Mario humor that most of those games do. That I just love. I think it's like very charming to experience. It has a little bit more edge to it than I think a lot of modern Nintendo games do, which I really appreciate.
Okay.
You know, like the place that you show up to, what is it? Rogueport, I think is the main town. Like it's got like a gallows in the center of the town.
Whoa.
And there's like clearly like crime families there and thieves and shit, you know? So like, you know, it's very much still like a kid's game. So it's not like people are getting shanked or anything like that. But, you know, somebody steals some of your coins like immediately when you get there.
Sure.
And you have to go like find them in the back alley or something like that. And so I think just the way that they set tone in this game is very different than the rest of the Mario games. And in a way that I think really pays off because Mario's still doing Mario shit, you know, like he's still like out here saving people and doing good stuff. But like, it's kind of fun to see him in this almost like gross town that is full of a lot of like criminals and shit like that, which I don't know. It's just great. One of the first places you go to is you just like dig into the sewers and like, there's like dudes like Goombas down there are like, hey dude, we're going to beat you up and take your money or whatever.
That's great.
It's really good. And I think, you know, partially some of the enjoyment that I get out of this game is just the characters are all so much fun. All your companions are really good. I can't remember if it's Goombella is the first one that you get, but she's like a college student essentially. And, you know, her ability is called Tattle. So she'll just like open up her textbook and be like, what's this guy's deal that we're fighting right now? Which will like, you know, give you his health and like what they're weak against or whatever, which is all really good. The combat's great. It feels good. I am a person that likes the game style where if you hit A at the right time, you do a little bit more damage. Love that. Really into that.
Always good. I can
it's really good.
Legend of Dragoon.
All of those. It's really fun. I don't know why. I think it just like, it adds a little activity to the battle system wherein like, usually if it's just turn-based, I'm mostly just clicking A to do it. And I can kind of like fall asleep at the wheel almost.
Sure.
Whereas with this, it's like you still have to be like playing it. It sort of drives your momentum through the combat.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like I think my TLDR with this game is like, it's still incredible. And I think for people who haven't played it, like you should, if you're into any of this stuff, because it's a hard game to get a hold of. And like, even if you're, you know, or if you are more of a quote unquote normie, you know, who like isn't deep into like emulation handhelds or whatever, or even just emulating in general, like this is a good way to play it. It's, you know, unfortunate that it takes Nintendo making a huge deal out of like, we're putting out or we're maintaining a game that should have been on every console, or you should be able to play this on most of them, and it's for $60 or whatever. And Thousand Year Door absolutely slaps and is fun to play, and like I'm glad that it exists, you know. So, or I'm glad that it is playable now for not $120. So, you know, conflicted in that way, but it's also just such a good game that I'm, you know, I have a hard time really ragging on it that hard.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's a fan of these series, like this is it. If you want to play it, this is a good version.
This is the one.
This is the one. And I hope that it is a signal to Nintendo that like they can be more playful with these games. I think like Nintendo just has like such potential to be creative if they let themselves, you know.
Sure.
Like this game is just, it's so creative with every character it has in it. The fact that they have like, I don't know if you saw this, but in the original Japanese like text of the game, one of the characters named Vivian is like definitely a trans character. She's like a trans woman.
Sure.
And in the English version, it was a little bit more cagey about that, but they have like since gone back and changed it to be like, no, that's like canon, even in English. And like, you know, such a small nod, but still just like so appreciated with that shit of like, let's not erase the one trans character we have in this game.
That is nice.
So all the characters are really, really cool. And I think really compelling in a way that like every time you get a new one, I'm like, wow, I love whoever this is currently, which is helpful for a game where you're getting a lot of them and you're traveling around with these people really often. Yeah. Plus like Mario can't talk. So like you're being carried, the dialogue is being carried by these characters that you're traveling with.
Gotcha.
Which is great. I love it a lot. It's a really good version of this game.
Hell yeah. Would you say it's significantly better than the original?
Not significantly. Like I think it is modern, right? Like it looks a lot better. And I think that there are like affordances that aren't on the GameCube, right? I can't remember if this is exactly the case, but I remember changing teammates being harder in the original GameCube version. Whereas like in this one, it's like a radial menu. Essentially, you just like hold one of the buttons and swap through your people and they immediately come out. It's like the game does ask you to switch your people around kind of frequently because most of them have some ability in the overworld that will help you get around, right? So like your friend Koops, who is a Koopa, you know, you can throw him to like hit shit that's far away. Or, you know, Vivian pulls you into like the shadow realm. And so you can't take damage from anything for a second.
That's cool. I want to go to
It's very fun. Yeah, it's like you turn into just like the two of you go into a shadow. And so you're completely flat on the ground. So if there's like, you know, a cannonball flying at you or something, you do that and you won't get hit.
Damn.
And everybody has like something, right? Some ability. Goombella's is just like if you hit her ability, she'll just like tell you some facts about where you are. Like,
nice.
Hey, this is Rogueport. Here's the shit. Or if you're standing next to somebody, she's like, here's this guy. Here's his deal. So yeah, it's really good. I think if both were readily available, right? Like if it was easy to play the original GameCube version and it was just as easy to get a hold of this HD remake. And I don't know, let's say that they were the same price, if not a little bit less, like maybe the other one's $10 less. I would still say that the original still holds the hell up. Like you can definitely still play that game. But unfortunately, we're dealing with like kind of artificial scarcity right now of like, it's not that easy to go back and play a GameCube if you don't have one, or if you don't have access to like kind of a good computer to play it there, or one of these, you know, emulation handhelds or whatever. And so this is kind of the only option for a lot of people. Yeah. Which is a shame, again, because it is pretty expensive. Not that I think, you know, the people who worked on it shouldn't get paid, but if we're talking about a game that is kind of old and it isn't, you know, a completely different thing. It's not like this is Final Fantasy Remake or whatever, where it is an entirely different video game. It's largely still the same stuff. It's just like, it looks great. I wouldn't be surprised if they had to rebuild everything, which is hard, but you know, they had the template to work from. And so it is still very similar. So it's very good. And I am glad that I am playing through it again in this form that it's in. So, you know, your mileage may vary depending on what your experience is, but still, it's really good. It's a really fun video game.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is the games I'm playing, which will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Which is?
I think that you may have done this one before, but I have not.
Let's hear it.
Which is the ability to connect via video games.
Ooh, yeah. Absolutely.
I was in volunteering in the prison, talking to the inmates that we were working with. And, you know, I would not say that I have so much in common with a lot of these guys. We live extremely different lives a lot of the time, but a lot of the times they're like, oh yeah, I used to play like all this shit for PS2. And I'm like, hey,
I know something about the PS2.
I know some shit about that. You and I need to talk about that, which is just like so cool to be able to connect about that stuff. Cause you know, video games don't care.
Sure don't.
Fucking Ridge Racer was good all the time to everybody.
Is that the game you talked about, Ridge Racer?
No, it was like a bunch of other shit. It was like, you know, GTA and like talking about Final Fantasy and stuff like that, which is just like, it's cool. It cuts across experiences in a way that I forget sometimes, you know, because I talk to kind of people who are either grew up with video games in the same way or like, you know, are kind of similar to me, but folks who, you know, grew up in very different circumstances are still like, damn, Gran Turismo was pretty fucking good, wasn't it?
Sure was.
So yeah, it was awesome. It's a really cool thing to be able to connect with people.
That's great. What an amazing example of the power of video games and shared experience.
It's not just like a stranger that you met on the street. It's like a very disparate place that I wouldn't expect to have a lot in common at all. But, you know, unsurprisingly, video games were not one of the only things that we had in common. And, you know, emotions are the same everywhere. But, you know, Ridge Racer rocks as well.
Ridge Racer rocks. There is so much more that connects us than separates us. I love that.
Yeah. Fucking Jack and Daxter is one of them.
Hell yeah. Jack and Daxter.
Both of them. Yeah, so that's my thing. David, awesome. Is there something that's fueling your sense of podtimism tonight?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's similar to connecting with people. But over the weekend, our good friend Garen, fan of the show, he texted our group. We call it the Stank Squad. It's a Halo group. Yeah. And we all decided to get together. And for our good friend Drew's birthday, also listener of the show, shout out Drew. Yep. Decided to gift him the ability to come into the next generation of console gaming.
Yeah.
So DoorDashed him a Xbox Series S.
Yes. Yeah.
Just giving the gift of gaming to a good friend. Yeah. Always good.
It's true. It's also just like, that would have been impossible when we were in elementary school. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like kind of a freeing experience to be like, in my mind, buying a new console, I still have the attachment of what it was like when I was younger of like, I'm living in a new world now.
Yep.
I have crossed a threshold into a place that I cannot return from.
This is a new generation for me, a new era.
Yes. Yeah. I like, it is a ceremony of moving from one generation to the next.
It really is.
Like to be able to like indulge for someone else, and that feels kind of magical in a way of like, look at the possibilities in front of you now, you know.
We were taking him on a magic carpet ride.
For real. Yeah, I can show you the world.
I can show you the world.
Shining, shimmering splendor.
It's got Baldur's Gate 3. It's got Jedi Survivor. That's why I picked up Jedi Survivor, is because he was talking about playing it.
Yeah, sure enough. That's cool.
Talking about their lightsaber builds.
Yeah.
It's also a very satisfying thing to do in that game.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's great. It's really good. I love whenever I get to buy a video game as a gift for someone. Not even just a console, but just a game itself. Oof, man, that is fun.
You're like, oh, you don't even know what you got in store for you. Here you go.
Yes.
Here you go.
Yeah. It's really, really exciting. Steam makes this extremely fun because like you can so easily in the store click like, I want to buy this game for this person, you know, like Nintendo makes it so fucking difficult to do this, where like you can't just gift someone a game. You have to like give them like a gift card if you want them to have money on their Switch.
So silly.
It's so silly. Whereas like, I love just dropping a freshie in someone's fucking inbox in Steam. Like, hey, I like this game. I bet you will too. Here you go. That's very fun. Especially if it's like an indie game or something, like, you know, they don't have this game? Like, how about a little $10 chuck?
Monster Train, what's that?
Yeah, oh my God. So, yeah, I feel you. I feel you deeply.
Deeply.
Do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Let's do it.
All right, sick. Hey, welcome to Good Games. It's the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and gush all the things that we love about them. Hey.
What's up?
We're back here. We're
back.
We got suggested a game to play.
Yes.
From listener Murray. Murray suggested Darksiders before, which we had played. And I liked a lot. I actually like Darksiders quite a bit. Murray has also suggested Batten Kaitos, which I have been trying to skillfully avoid, but I think that day will come eventually. They had said, listen, you got to play this game, dog, is their description of Batten Kaitos. So I get it.
That is quite, twist my arm about it, right?
But they had also said for us to play, or suggested we play Nanosaur. Murray on the topic had said the Pangaea Software classic.
Not wrong.
You and I had talked about this a little bit. You hadn't heard of this game before, right?
I had not. No, I don't really think I played this one much growing up.
Yeah, I had, and I don't know how I played it and you didn't, because I think the place that we have played it would have been the same.
Yeah, it was elementary school, right?
It was a computer lab somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't gravitate towards Nanosaur for one reason or another.
Yeah, sure. Just a big bugdom guy.
I was a big bugdom guy. Love me some bugdom.
To provide some context for what the hell we're saying, let me hit you with some hot stats.
Let's hear it.
Hot stats.
Nanosaur came out April 6th of 1998. So a fair bit ago at this point. And this was a automatically installed, I believe, a game on the iMac G3, which for any of my old heads out there, that is the iMac that had the kind of rounded back and transparent plastic on it.
It's like blue or yellow or green.
Very pretty device. I really like it, which could totally be my nostalgia talking, because there's a world where that looks pretty bad. But it was the first Mac that Steve Jobs had been in charge of since he rejoined Apple at that point. And so it was kind of this big splashy hit. And at least at the time, it felt like, whoa, this is a very different company and a very different computer than I'm used to seeing. And part of that was that they had these pack-in games that were just on it. And I think they may not have been on every one of them, but they were certainly on a lot of the games that they shipped to schools. They must have had some deal with schools that you can get a bunch of these for probably not that expensive, because we didn't have, I feel like at our elementary school, we had kind of ancient Apple computers for a while. And then these showed up out of nowhere. I'm like, damn, how did we do this?
I am moving into the 21st century.
So it felt whoa, these are cool new games. And plus, a lot of them were in 3D, which in 1998 was saying something.
Sure was. Yeah.
Mario 64 had only come out a couple of years prior. And so it was still wow, 3D games are a shock.
It's like if a computer got pre-packaged with a game nowadays that had ray tracing in it.
Yeah, if it had a not that bad version of Fortnite or something on it, be whoa, what? They're kind of cooking here.
Yeah, exactly, right? Good enough to cook at school.
So the company that made this did a bunch of games like this. There were a bunch of them that shipped either with or were optional or something like that. Again, I was 7 when this was happening, so I wasn't really asking my teachers did you have to pay for this, or is this a license? It was just on all these computers.
It was just there magically.
Yeah, so Pangaea Software made a bunch of stuff. They made this Automatic, which was another game, Chromag Rally, which was a racing game.
Okay.
And Enigmo, and of course, Bugdom. So they made a bunch of these, I wouldn't call them educational games, but they're games that were, I think, intended to be able to be playable by children.
Yes.
Or people of all ages, essentially. I do have a review of this game from this company called victorygames.pl.
Whoa.
I took they were the I have no idea. They were the only Placerville. Yeah, it's a very Northern California specific outlet. They were the only outlet that reviewed this game. So
really?
I took their review, the only one.
Wow.
Took their review, ran it through Google Translate a number of times, and spat it all back out in English to get an artist's interpretation of this, which I'll read for you now, David.
Let's hear it.
In practice, the production is a lie. And here we can say that the writers of the text have flipped, but it is a shame because the idea can be funny and slightly above average. Overall, Nanosaur is a very musically successful, but sadly disappointing. The game is fantastic, looks great on screen, and is really fun to play. Please visit us. And they gave that a 4 out of 10. They did not like this game very much.
That one was all over the place.
Came with a little grandparent guilt at the end there. I wasn't really sure what that was.
It's just grandma hacked your favorite video game website. It's please visit us.
You never come to visit victorygames.pl anymore. Come on. We'd love it when you show up here.
Well, we have a whole entire bowl of Werther's Originals ready for you.
It's perfect. Anything a growing boy could need. Reviews of Nanosaur.
Reviews of I know, right? Nanosaur. Not Nanosaur. Yeah. Nanosaur. The source of the nanos.
That is in line with the grandma version of this review.
Do you have Nanosaur for my grandson? Please visit me.
If my grandma was asking me for Nanosaur, I might think she's like a cyberpunk net runner.
Cyber grandma is here for all of your nanos.
Wake up, kid. We gotta go to Denny's.
Wake up, kid. I have a giant cookie for you ready, fresh out the oven.
Kid, I love it when you come and visit me. Really brightens up my whole week.
I need to try all these clothes. I just got them from Target.
Copped you a new pair of socks, kiddo.
I knitted you this beanie.
It's been a little while since we've talked to Johnny Silverhand.
This is Grandmommy Silverhand.
Yeah.
Mommy Silverhand?
This is Granny Silverhand.
Granny Silverhand. Silverhand because it's all just knitting needles on her fingers now.
Yeah, she's got thimbles grafted onto her fingertips so like she never has to really take them off. I really like biohacker grandma. That kind of works for me.
She just hacks your nervous system to make you like yourself more.
Yeah, it's like it's a positive form of it.
Hacks into like your physical receptors so that it feels like she's giving you a hug.
Yes, yeah. It's like the scene Ghost in the Shell where like the fingertips like pop open to have a bunch of tiny little tendrils. Like she has like 4 or 5 different hugging arms that she can install to make sure that it does it like really well.
She's got a couple more on back order because she needs to hug you even more. She's going to be chromed out with the hugging.
I'm chromed up and ready to love, man. I got all my chooms hooked up with the latest hugging technology. It's
just her going around her retirement community. Hey, choom, here's your new hugging arm. Hug-O-Matic 5000. The cyber psychosis is that they just go around hugging everyone. They just don't stop. They just don't stop hugging.
She's been making cookies for 48 hours. We got to stop her.
We're drowning in the cookies. There's too many.
She's called every one of her grandchildren. She's not even tired.
She's calling all of them at the same time.
Wow. David, could you tell me what Nanosaur is?
Chromed out and ready to love is sticking with me.
It is powerful, isn't it?
That's a powerful statement. I'm chromed out and ready to love. Anyways, Nanosaur. Talking about a chromed out choom. This Nanosaur. Definitely.
Actually, yes.
Definitely, he's chromed out. So Nanosaur. Did you look up the story of this game?
It's absolutely bananas.
It's wild, yeah. But Nanosaur is a 3D action shooter game where you take on the role of the Nanosaur, who canonically is a time-traveling dinosaur coming back into the prehistoric past to collect eggs because the future Nanosaurs have gotten inbred too much. So they need more genetics, more genes for their gene pool. So he's going back in the past and stealing eggs and sending them to the future. And you have a jetpack and a big blasty gun. It's somewhere between like a rocket launcher and a pistol.
And like a laser.
And like a laser, yeah. So you're just going around blasting T-Rexes, Stegosaurs, and pterodactyls as they try to attack you as you steal these eggs from these areas around in the game. There is some platforming to it. There's like some lava you have to avoid. You have to get on platforms in between water. Nothing that difficult. You can double jump as a dinosaur, which is fun. That is cool.
It's so funny that it makes like a spring noise whenever you do it too. Like a boing, boing.
Yeah, he chromed out. I told you. It's actually not even springs in there. It's just a sound effect that sounds like springs.
Yeah, these are just his regular legs.
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty much Nanosaur. It's not a long game. No. It's not a hard game, but it is a very evocative game.
Yeah, it's the backstory is bananas.
Yes.
Yeah, it also coming back from the year 4122. You are so far in the future.
Yes. And the dinosaurs have taken over the earth, not because they killed all the humans, but because the humans got wiped out by a plague. And the dinosaurs just took over.
Which, like, I did not catch when I was playing this in elementary school. That story was not made clear to me at all.
It was one of those old school ones where it was just in like the manual.
Yes, I think it was. And like, I don't remember seeing any manuals for this game.
Same.
So that was just for the real nano heads.
Nano heads only will understand this one.
Only Nanosaur's grandma chooms will get this.
Nanosaur grandma chooms. Oh man, it's your grandma, but also your cousin.
Whoa,
because they have been inbreeding.
Yeah.
That was my joke.
That's a bummer.
That was my joke.
Sorry, Granny. How did you feel about Nanosaur, David?
I enjoyed it. It's a fun little romp. The music is something else.
Oh, so good. I'll play a little bit of it in the episode here, but like, it is such straight down the middle dinosaur music for the first few minutes of just like, that's dinosaur. That's what dinosaurs sound like. And then there's just like this deep, funky bass that gets added to it after a second.
We showed you what dinosaurs sound like. This is what a Nanosaur sounds like.
Yes, this is 4122 version of music.
It was really good. I thought, it's a very simple game. It's fun to blast the dinosaurs. It's just hit spacebar as fast as you can, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one big open level, so it's fun to go and explore all the little nooks and crannies of it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the variety of dinosaurs in the game that you get to battle.
Yeah.
I appreciate that they are all enemies. You don't have to worry about talking to any of these dinosaurs or interacting with any of them besides just shooting and running from them.
Peace was never an option.
Peace was never an option. This is a video game before peace was an option. Yeah, it's a fun romp. It is definitely just good to like put on for like 10 minutes and just see how many eggs you can get and then go back next time, because it's very much built around getting a high score.
Yeah, it's like if you collect all the eggs, then that's like, that's it for the game, essentially. So you're kind of just trying to do like, can I like get this quick enough?
Mm-hmm. How fast can I do it?
There's like a timer running at all times too. So like if you run out of like, I think it's 20 minutes, then an asteroid crashes into the earth and it's like game over. Yeah. Sorry.
Exactly. I do enjoy that is how the game ends. It's just like you decided to time travel right before the asteroid hits the earth for some reason.
Could you go back like an hour earlier? It would really help.
That makes a lot more sense. More sense. But no, I guess this was the only time they could go to. So you're really just booking it as this Nanosaur trying to not get absolutely blasted.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you make it in time, then you go forward in time and like eggs are shown. Like, look, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It's a very bizarre game to play because I played this when I was a kid and like it felt expansive at the time. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a gigantic game, but I watched like a let's play of it just to see like, is this like beatable? And it's a 10-minute run.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Somebody beats this game so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's bizarre. It feels like a game that like is fake in a movie and you see somebody playing it like in the background or something like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, what a strange looking game. Like even the UI is so odd.
They were still figuring out UI back then, I think.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. It's like your screen, your actual in-game screen is only like a portion of the screen. And it's like
the maximalist UI is insane.
Yes, it's not overlaid on the game. It's like in its own kind of little corner of the screen.
It's very much people who watched TVs that had huge bezels on them sort of thought process, right? There is a lot of stuff around the screen that you're actually watching. That's just a normal thing.
It was very strange, but very fun at the same time too. And I was just like totally obsessed with it. As a kid, I thought this was like really, really fun.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it is still a fun game. Is it deep?
Yeah.
No. Is it particularly like engaging or challenging? No, not that either, but it is just fun. You're just romping around, you're jumping. It's absurd, the conceit of the whole thing.
Yes.
There are dinosaurs and you are a special dinosaur with guns.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you need?
That's it. It's fucking video games. I feel like when somebody said the phrase video games in 1998, like this game just appears in the ether above them.
A dinosaur with guns. Do you think the people who made Horizon loved this game as kids?
Yeah, they're like, whoa, I've got such a good idea for this fucking video game.
They're like, no. There's something more here. We
just need to dig deeper.
Yeah. Everything is a Nanosaur and you're a human. Whoa.
This is not like an educational game by any measure, but like in my mind, it is very tied to playing games as a kid, more so than even like, Mario or like Star Fox from the time.
Sure.
I think just because, at least for me, this was only available to me on school computers and shit. And so like it's in this bizarre place where it's a game that I only played at school. you know, if I just like got there earlier, or if like there was free time or whatever, I could like snag a game of Nanosaur.
Yeah.
And so like it's sort of a splice between that like pinball game that shipped on like XP computers or whatever, and also not really an educational game, but just one that I associate with school.
Yeah.
Do you feel any sort of way about like educational games at all?
Strangely nostalgic.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, like when I think of educational games, I'm thinking more of like Math Blaster or Oregon Trail. Mavis Beacon teaches typing.
I feel like that one is like pretty tangibly useful.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And like the other ones, they're teaching you like management skills, they're teaching you math, right? So there is something to those as well.
Yeah.
This one to me, this and like Bugdom and just Flash games kind of in general at this time.
Yeah.
Really felt more like not educational games, but games that if you had free computer time in class could go and play, which always felt like such a treat.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that is what is more nostalgic about it for me, is that it represents like this time and space and place, but then also a specific feeling of I have the ability to play video games here at school, and I'm allowed to right now. And this feels kind of naughty, but I'm into it.
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah,
this is great.
I do think that like, and this doesn't necessarily apply to like these games specifically, but like, I think that there is kind of a lot of skills in there that are pretty helpful, of like having a map that you are like navigating through, and
time management.
Time management, like hand-eye coordination just to like do the shit. And having to like navigate this space, so it kind of forces you to understand like directionality a little bit of like, where have I been and where do I need to go back to?
Yeah.
I think like, you know, like you said, there are those games that intentionally are trying to be like, okay, the boss is doing 2 + 7, right? Like that's the thing that you're doing.
To do
in this
damage,
level.
you have to press 9.
You have to think about math. But like outside of that, I think that like games are educational in a way that are actually pretty useful. You know, I feel like I learned a lot about like just resource management from even like Final Fantasy or something, where it's like, okay, I need to, you know, I show up at a shop, I don't have enough money for everybody to get new gear. How do I like spread out the kind of like resources that I have, and then who do I prioritize to like give gear to?
Are you saying that Final Fantasy taught you communism, Chase?
Final Fantasy taught me to reclaim the means of production from those who are trying to keep us down, David.
So I'm pretty sure only Cloud was making that money, and you're just spreading it around all willy-nilly.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what Avalanche is all about. The climate terrorists in a good way.
Got to do it. Climate terrorists, but make it good.
Yeah, make it just. And so like, I feel like that there is a big advantage to just making shit like this available to kids, right? And like, I doubt that any kid at this point has any problem accessing like a couple of video games. Yeah. You know, if you have a phone, you can play full ass Fortnite on there. And like a lot of the stuff that's in there is also in this game, of just like navigating 3D space and like making sure that you have enough like health and laser blasters and shit to continue through. And then also just, you know, being faced with some kind of failure, because like you're not going to beat this game on the first try. You don't know where all the eggs are. You're probably going to run out of time. And I think that is actually kind of helpful, right? In the same way that like, you know, playing a sport on a team to be able to figure out how to like work with other people is like, can be helpful for a kid. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But that was like not widespread in 1998. Like video games were still fairly, I wouldn't say niche, but like you, me, and a handful of other people were the ones at our elementary school playing video games at the time.
Regularly, like, at least. Yeah. They were not, they were not like this ubiquitous thing that all kids were doing.
Or at least had access to.
Yeah, that too. Consoles are expensive, man.
They're very expensive. And just like, I think even then, like parents were like, no, that's boring. Like I played Pac-Man before, and you ain't getting that shit. Versus like, I bet that is not the same opinion that a lot of parents have these days. So it's, I think it was kind of a novelty and like very much a treat to be able to play any of this stuff. And that definitely goes for like Bugdom and the Chromag Rally too. I had totally forgotten about that game.
I don't think I played that one either. Was that on Max or was it on somewhere else?
It was on Max. It was the same deal. It was like a caveman racing game. There is definitely a type of graphical fidelity that is very much of this time,
Why is the cave woman trying to be sexy?
Oh God, is she? I haven't looked at the cover.
There's a loading screen.
Yeah, did she have to be wearing a crop top?
Yeah, she's pretty much just wearing underwear. Anyways.
Yeah, I like that approach. I think it's really fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like there are some pretty tangible benefits to playing like Mavis Beacon or like I think even the Jumpstart games I kind of like enjoyed at the time. I thought they were pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like it's there to kind of test out shit that you're learning at school, but I think they made a lot of them like fun enough that it wasn't a total nightmare to play those.
Yeah, they definitely knew how to make it at least interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm just typing in other educational video games from the 90s.
Yeah,
Mario teaches typing. That's a great one. Yep. Treasure Mountain. Yep.
Yeah, big fan of Treasure Mountain.
That was a really good one. Math Blaster, of course. Darby the Dragon. That's a great name.
Oh, wow.
Bronchi the Brachiosaur.
I like that.
I put Roller Coaster Tycoon on here. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at before, is that like there are a lot of games that I think would be secretly educational.
Yeah.
You know, like that it's not a direct like we are testing your ability to do math, but like just like spatial awareness or even like Minecraft or something with your ability to like reason and think about what do I need to do to like make something in physical space.
Yeah. All video games at the very least require some form of hand-eye coordination and thought processes to complete. Yeah. So just making it accessible and an appropriate level of difficulty for children is the hard part.
I mean, like, I think a lot of that stuff is just good game design at a certain point of like, if you can make it make sense to everyone, then, you know, children will be included in that.
It's true. Children are part of everyone.
They do count as everybody, even your chromed up grandma.
Even your chromed up grandma. She's definitely playing Math Blaster, man. She's playing Meth Blaster.
She's playing Meth Blaster? Damn.
She's got to get it for her tunes, dude.
She's got to hook up her tunes. What is there a name for the drug in Cyberpunk?
Oh, there definitely is. Oh my God. I want to say spice, but that's not it.
That's Dune. We got stims. Oh, there's a bunch. Synth Coke.
Oh my God.
Speed Heal, Boost, Bluegrass, Smash, Dwarf, and Black Lace.
Black Lace. Ooh, that sounds scary.
A high-powered version of Dwarf, which imparts euphoria, adrenal rush, and invulnerability to pain.
Is it canonically like named after Ganondorf?
No. I don't know what it's supposed to be referring to be honest. There's an apostrophe at the beginning of it, so I think it's short for something.
Ganondorf.
Oh man, grandma's my chromed up grandma's all hopped up on Dorf again.
Oh, could it be like endorphins?
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah.
That's not as fun. I'm going back to Ganondorf.
Yeah, I like grandma smoking Ganondorf.
My chromed out grandma's getting high on the Dorf. Back there, just turning into a pig wizard.
Man, I wish I was better at art so that I could draw cyber grandma, nano grandma.
Our Scouts commissions opened.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good point. Scout, I need your help more than ever.
Draw me the most chromed out grandma ever. Getting high on Dorf. Oh man. Oh my God. She wants to give me a hug and steal my credits.
She might do both. Yeah.
Yeah, probably going to do both.
Yeah, what gang is grandma in?
What gang is your grandma in, everybody? This is the newest BuzzFeed article. What gang is your grandma part of?
What's your Myers-Briggs, and also what gang is your nano gran in?
Oh, Myers-Briggs is so out, though. It's all about the Enneagram now. Come on.
It's all about the chromed up nano gran.
Yeah, I'm a 6, so I'm really much like a chromed up grandma, you know.
My grandma was placed into the tiger claws, if that makes any difference. It's the rarest of the gangs for my nano gran to be in.
I got a very rare nano gran.
Oh my God. Anyway, thanks Murray for your suggestion of Nanosaur. It's very fun. Welcome back, Nanograns. If you want to interact with us, you can go to podtimism.com, which will have links to all of our stuff, like our socials, which I simply do not post on anymore, or links to the show on different platforms. But most importantly, it has a link to our Discord, We are a part of the Worst Garbage Network, which has a Discord, which you can come hang out in and chat with people who listen to our show, ourselves, and then also other shows have a home there. Mostly Into the Aether, Can't Let It Go, Paws and Claws, Frog of the Week, and newly added .zip as well.
.zip.
And you can come hang out in there. I think it's a wonderful place, and it's fun.
.zip is a very satisfying name to say.
It's very good. Also, the URL for that one is a real joy, David. I built the site for that one, and the URL to get to .zip's website is dotzip.online.
Oh man,
feels good to say.
That is a URL that begs to be said.
Yeah.
dotzip.online. Oh man. That feels like something you would hear on NPR.
Yes, yeah. Kai Ryssdal has been saying that for years, and it's just making a real meal out of it.
There you go.
Hey, also TWG, thank you for having us on the network. We love to be here, and it's a great time. So come check it out. Let's see. If you want to help out the show, there's a couple things you can do. One of them is reviewing the show on a podcatcher of your choice, like Spotify or Apple Podcast. It helps boost that algorithm. So if somebody's looking around for like video game podcast, we will show up in that list, which is cool. Just kind of seeing slow and steady growth on people checking in, which is neat and cool. So yeah, the reviews are working and the listening is working. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Probably the more effective route though is to tell a friend and be like, hey, this is a cool podcast. Have you ever thought about what kind of cyberpunk your grand would be? Well, have I got a cool podcast for you? And then you show them this one. Thank you for doing that. If you have. Yeah. I don't know. My brain just stopped all of a sudden.
I get it.
Came to a screeching halt.
Mm-hmm. You're about to hit the cyberpsychosis. You got to get some of those, some sort of drug that makes your brain work again. I forget what it's called.
I'll go hit up my nanogran here in a second.
She's a walking pharmacy, that nanogran.
She's got a plug on some good dwarf, whatever it was.
Dwarf.
Oh man, I'm so distracted by nanogran. I'm struggling to get through this outro because all I want to do is think about cyberpunk granny. That's all I got on my mind right now.
Now, when you said dwarf, then I started thinking about cyberpunk Ganondorf. Hanging
also
out with
good,
Cyber
also
Granny.
Fun.
And
they're friends.
That is quite the mental image.
It's compelling.
Cyberdorf.
What a swing it would be if Zelda was suddenly sci-fi. That would be so wild.
I mean, they could do it.
They could.
They got a little close in Breath of the Wild with all the technology.
Yeah, that's true. The Zonai stuff. Mm-hmm. Hey, thank you for listening to this podcast. We appreciate you being here and checking in, week out, and hanging totally out. We got a fun episode next week, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
It's going to be totally cool and fun. David, do you have any gaming wisdom for me?
Yeah.
What is it?
If you see your grandma getting chromed out with her Chumbas, doing the dwarf, maybe sit her down and have a conversation. Bake some cookies like she used to do, and see what's up. Why does she choose to go down this path? What was the motivation here? And just let her know that you're worried and you love her. Hope for the best. Hope for the best at that point.
Grandma, don't be a gonk and get so crumbed up that you can't distinguish between what is gran and what is not.
I forgot what the bad word was. A gonk. You don't want to be a gonk.
Gonk, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get yourself zeroed out this way, Grandma.
Those aren't Chumbas. Those aren't Chumbas. Those are gonks. Grandma.
The total gonk. It's a total gonk move.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm no corpo rat, Grandma.
Are you looking up cyberpunk lingo right now to do this?
I'm going to show you a really nice brain dance or BD, Grandma, to set you straight.
Damn. She's doing some crazy brain dances. Chromed out Grandma.
Grandma, we got a delta on out of here.
Got a delta on out. Grandma, I really don't think you need a San Devistan to give me better hugs. You don't need that Sandy. Put it down, Grandma.
Here, take my iron. Let's go back to NC and we'll talk about it on the way. I'm going to flick you some deets, Grandma.
Whoa. That sounds dirty. That sounds like what the silver hand would do. Flick you some deets.
Totally preem.
They do have very good lingo in that game.
Slang
is good.
Yeah, they really did go hard on it.
It all makes sense. Doesn't need a lot of explaining.
I think Choom is the only one that kind of sticks with me as a weird one.
Yeah. Because everything else is like, okay, I can figure out where this evolved from.
It's close, right? Yeah.
But did you know what Choom comes from?
I have no idea.
Machoombas.
Yeah.
Maybe it's people calling like their friends their Goombas. And it just became Choombas over time.
Or their Poombas. Night City has a really big history with the Lion King.
Well, this does check out because Night City is canonically Morro Bay.
Yeah.
And Morro Bay has a big rock in the middle of the bay called Morro Rock.
Oh, wow.
So maybe they're like Pride Rock, Morro Rock. They're like, hey, same.
Coincidence?
Gotta love Lion King here.
Coincidence? Gonks? Chooms?
I think not.
See you next week, Nanograms.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.
TWG, the worst garbage.online.